Welcome back. This is part two of our work on aggregate supply for today. So we have considered what is the difference between a short-run aggregate supply, which is actual output, and long-run aggregate supply, which is potential output. So we can show this in a few different ways. We can show it on a PPF, okay, which has got consumer goods, capital goods. We assume two different resources that are allocated here. So resources are either allocated to capital goods or consumer goods. If we are operating anywhere on our PPF, anywhere on our full level of output, we are dealing with potential output. This is long-run aggregate supply. All of our resources are being used to the maximum amount that we can use them. All of our labour, all of our land, all of our capital, all of our resources are being used as best we can. Okay. Now, obviously, we know this can shift outwards or inwards, can't it, depending on what happens in that economy. But let's just leave it at that for the moment. We recognise that we've got short-run aggregate supply inside that area where we've got some resources not being used, and we've got long-run aggregate supply, which is anywhere along that line. Next, we can also use this diagram to show the difference between short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply. If we are considering an economy over time will grow, this is a GDP, gross domestic product, the total value of goods and services produced in the economy. And this is time. Over time, we expect to see growth within the economies, and we are seeing that, okay? In general, with most economies, they grow over time. The value of goods and services produced in those economies will increase over time, okay? But at some points during those periods of time, we have what we call an output gap, where maybe we are overproducing or we are underproducing in our economy. We have positive output gaps and negative output gaps, okay? And that's where we really see the difference between short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply. Our long-run aggregate supply would be our potential, our trend line, whereas our short-run aggregate supply would be the wavy line, either sometimes below our potential, sometimes above our potential if we can stretch our resources a little bit. So, to complicate matters even more, we don't just have one school of thought about aggregate supply in the long run, we have two schools of thought. The first school of thought, which is called the classic school of thought, is this. It believes in if you allow a free market economy to operate, then the equilibrium in the market will settle at full employment, will settle at full output. That means that the philosophy is if you do not interfere in the market, you will see the resources in the market being used efficiently. Demand and supply will reach an equilibrium where everything will manufacture and be employed at full output at this price level. Okay, that is the free market system. Okay, Milton Friedman and his kind of philosophies would suggest leave the hand, the free, or Adam Smith, wasn't it? The free hand of the market, the invisible hand of the market will operate, and you'll see that aggregate demand and short-run aggregate supply will end up operating at full employment. Now, we kind of know that's not true, okay? We kind of know that most economies will operate, in fact, all economies will operate well within their potential output. And this was introduced later on after the Second World War by a gentleman called John Maynard Keynes, and he suggests actually the operation of the market will not clear the market. It will not operate at full output. It is much more likely to operate much further down this output level. And he would suggest that this would be our output level if we just left the market alone. In fact, what he would suggest is we intervene in the market. We use fiscal policy, we use monetary policy in order to get aggregate demand up or to increase aggregate supply, try and reduce the level of unemployment in the economy. This is a model that suggests a free market operates on its own and works. And this model questions that idea and says, actually, no, we need to intervene in the market. We need to do something that is going to shift aggregate demand or shift aggregate supply. Now, of course, we can shift long-run aggregate supply. Okay, so this overall potential output, we can shift that outwards. Okay, we can find a way to increase the potential of the economy. We can get immigration, we can get more people. We can find new sources of raw materials. We could increase productivity. We could do all sorts of things that are going to shift our overall potential outwards. And the same can be said for this. We could shift long-run aggregate supply to the right. And we can even find ways of extending our long-run aggregate supply in the Keynesian model. So there are ways for us to extend aggregate supply and make sure that we can shift it outwards. And of course, it can shift inwards as well. We know, don't we? Say, for example, the potential output of the Gaza Strip at the moment, potential output in the Ukraine at the moment, the potential output in the Yemen right now is currently falling, and that can shift our potential output inwards. It could shift our long-run aggregate supply inwards as well. And here we could even see that full employment might even be reduced. So there's lots of ways that we can look at this in terms of what is the difference between the classical model, what is the difference between the Keynesian model, how to demonstrate long-run aggregate supply on a PPF, how to show the difference between short-run and long-run aggregate supply using this graph showing output gaps. And that's about it, really. Let's move on. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Bye.